First and foremost, I want to humbly introduce the chairman of this very occasion in the person of Chief Olusegun Oshukeye, CON, OFR. You're welcome, sir. And I want to introduce the guest speaker for this event in the person of Mr. Nandi Okoko, CIoD. You're welcome, sir. And of course, our chief host in the person of the President and Chairman of the Governing Council of CIoD Nigeria, Alhaji Tijani Borodo. Welcome, sir. Then the Vice President of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, Mr. Adetunji Oyebanji, FCIOD. You are welcome, sir. Then the second Vice President of the Institute, Mrs. Amina Oyagbola, FCIOD. You're welcome. I'd like to introduce to us the immediate past president of the Institute, in the person of Dr. E.J. Chidema. DC, you're welcome. Then I have seated with us today Dr. Chizo Malize. Dr. Malize is the Vice Chair of the Women Directors Development Committee. You are welcome, ma'am. And next to her is Dr. Uche Olowo. Dr. Uche Olowo is the member of the Mentoring Scheme Supervisory Committee. You are welcome, sir. I have with us today the chairman of the Director Development and Certification Committee. That is actually the committee that was charged with the assignment of supervising the development of the mentoring scheme. He is Dr. Grant Akata. Sir, you are welcome, sir. And of course, the last, but by no means the least, the Director General CEO of the Institute, Mr. Dele Alimi. Sir, you are welcome. Dr. Grant Akata, like I told us, is the chairman of the Director Development Committee and Certification Committee of the Institute. He is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Directors Nigeria. Sir, you are welcome, sir.
Shall I say good morning to everyone in the hall? Good morning, Mr. President and Chairman of Council, past presidents here present, Chairman of our event, Chief Olusegun Oshukeye, CON, OFR. We also like to acknowledge the presence of the keynote speaker this morning, Mr. Nnamdi Okonkwo. Distinguished fellows, esteemed guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this very, very important event. It is with a sense of excitement I welcome you all to this event, which is history-making. Honestly, it's an epoch-making event. The public launch of the Chartered Institute of Directors Enterprise-Wide Mentorship Scheme. The initiative to put this scheme together came from the tenure of the IPP, who haven't looked at what was happening with the Women Directors Scheme felt like, look, we will actually up our game as an institute if we made this an enterprise-wide scheme. And she charged the Director Development Committee to work on the details. I'm pleased to tell you that under the leadership of Mrs. Top, who should be in this hall, I expect her to be around, that group delivered the project, and immediately after that, we started work with the President and the IPP to ensure that this launch is possible. And we're excited that today we're going to be able to do the public launch. A lot of work has gone into all of this. We've had a session with the mentors and a session as well with our mentees. And we believe that we're in for something really, really big and going to be impactful in the Nigerian business community going forward. We're encouraged by the large number of persons who have volunteered to be mentors, and as well as mentees who are in here today for this program. It is with a sense of satisfaction that we believe this program is going to kickstart. We would like to mention that there is a mentorship supervisory committee which actually will be overseeing activities of this scheme going forward from today. In all, what we are looking out to seeing is some value-giving program that will not only impact the institute, but the entire business community, because we are believing that this scheme is going to support optimally the next generation of directors. It is for us a thing of pleasure once again to say welcome to each and every one of us already seated, and for those who are online, we also would like to acknowledge your presence. Thank you for coming, and hope you find an exciting time. Once again, God bless you.
Please, another round of applause for Dr. Grant Akata. Thank you so very much, sir, for that succinct address. Now we're going to proceed to the next on our agenda, and that is the goodwill message slash experience sharing by the chairman of this occasion, who is Chief Olusegun Osunkeye. I want to just do a quick review of his profile. Chief Osunkeye, like most of us know, is like a grandfather of corporate governance in our corporate governance space in Nigeria. I have a lot of respect for him. He is the chairman of Pilot Securities Limited, a dealing member of the Nigeria Stock Exchange. He retired as the chairman of Nestle Nigeria PLC in 2013, and that was after 40 years of serving, on the board of that organization. Okay, and for 8 of those years, he was the managing director, chief executive of the organization. That was between 1991 to 1999. He is a past chairman of the International Chamber of Commerce Nigeria, retired chairman of Lafarge Africa PLC and GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Nigeria PLC, past chairman of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, past president of MAN, a member of the council and life president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, so on and so forth. I don't want to bore you. The truth of the matter is that Chief Ikoyi is wearing so many feathers and is one of the icons, in the corporate governance space in this country. He is a distinguished fellow of this institute. If there is any other thing after distinguished, maybe we will have given him. Round of applause for him, please. He's a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and fellow of the Institute of Directors UK, and of course, fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Management, and so on and so forth. It's my pleasure this morning to humbly invite the chairman of this occasion, Chief Ikoyi, to give us a goodwill message. You're welcome, sir.
The President and Chairman of Council of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, Alhaji Tijani Borodo, the first Vice President, Mr. Adetunji Oyebanji, CIoD, CIM. I have to get it correctly, Mr. Thank you. The second Vice President, Mrs. Amina Oyagbola, FCIOD, I got that correct. Our DG, Mr. Dele Alimi, and allow me to rest on the protocols well established by my immediate past speaker here, Dr. Grant Akata. And now just say fellow members of CIoD, mentors and mentees, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. When I arrived here this morning, at the foyer there, they asked me, are you a mentor or a mentee? I hesitated a bit because I am both a mentor and I'm a mentee. But I now remember I'm here as a mentor. When I get outside, I have mentors. So when I'm before them, I go there as a mentee. So it's a pleasure to be here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Part of the mission of the Chartered Institute of Directors is to foster professional growth and leadership development. In giving practical effect to this mission, the Institute has developed a mentorship scheme, which is a laudable initiative, and I want to be the first to formally commend and congratulate the President and Chairman of the Governing Council of the Institute, Alhaji Tijani Borodo, Fellow of CIoD, Dr. Ije Jidenma, Distinguished Fellow of CIoD, and the Chairman of CIoD Mentorship Supervisory Committee. Dr. Grant Akata, Fellow of CIoD, and Chairman of Director Development and Certification Committee. I also commend all members of the Governing Council and the entire team that worked tirelessly to get the mentorship scheme off the drawing board. Here we are to launch the scheme today, and it is a beautiful day because whether you are a mentor or a mentee or both, you are in a win-win situation. I am both a mentor and a mentee, and I shall share my experience very soon. But first, let us take a step back to ask, what is mentoring? The term mentor originates from Greek mythology. Mentor was a trusted friend of Odysseus, who was entrusted with guiding and teaching Odysseus' son, Telemachus, during the father's absence in the Trojan War. The concept of mentorship grew beyond its mythological roots, becoming a central theme in education, leadership, and professional development. Modern mentoring frameworks are inspired by historical Plato, the Athenian philosopher, who influenced Western philosophy profoundly. The frameworks have evolved into structured mentorship programs across various fields. Mentoring is a relationship in which an experienced individual mentor offers guidance, knowledge, support, and encouragement to another person, mentee, to help him or her develop and achieve personal, educational, or professional goals. Whilst the focus of mentoring is to develop the whole person, the techniques used are broad, and the most common include discipleship, the system practiced by various religious bodies, for example, Hinduism and Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, and Christian Church. Apprenticeship, for instance, under the medieval guild system in the City of London. A notable guild, as an example, is the Worshipful Company of Merchant Tailors, one of the wealthiest which has survived till today, and it has occupied the same site in Threadneedle Street in the City of London since 1347. To become a master tailor, you have to be apprenticed or mentored by a master tailor for between 5 and 7 years before you get your freedom. I think most of us will remember, even in Nigeria, when you send your ward or maid or so to do, is it tailoring or fashion, then after some time they say he or she is going to get his or her freedom. It has originated from many, many centuries ago. And if you go to the City of London, Threadneedle is right in the city. The Worshipful Company of Merchant Tailors have existed and stayed in the same premises since 1347. I use tailors because most of us are used to tailors. And many of us, when we go abroad, we go to tailors. So this is why I chose that example. There are different types of mentors, such as profession or trade mentor. As an example, my professional mentor was Akintola Williams. Industrial mentor, for example, my industrial mentor is Dr. Michael Omolayole. Then you have organization mentor, technology mentor, and reverse mentoring. Many of us actually are having a reverse mentoring right now, unknown to us. Mentoring typically involves a more experienced, typically older employee or leader, providing guidance to a younger employee. However, in reverse mentoring, the opposite approach can also be applicable. With the rise of digital innovation, internet applications, and social media in the 2000s, new, younger employees may be more familiar with these technologies than senior employees in organizations. The younger generations can help the older generations evolve with current trends. For instance, the Gen Z employee mentoring a senior executive on digital tools and social media trends. Even though we don't use the word mentoring, I think some of us, including myself, my grandchildren help me with my telephone device. And I was surprised one day, the 10-year-old grandson said, I think the grandmother asked something. He said, no, I've stored it in the cloud. I said, cloud. I mean, when they come around to visit, we load them with a lot of questions. Do this for me, do this for me. That is reverse mentoring. And it happens also in industry. The younger ones now know the trends of technology more than the older senior employees. And it can be mutually reinforcing for the senior employee to actually call the Gen Z employee about digital trends going forward. Mentoring can be formal or informal. In a formal mentoring relationship, a company or organization provides training to the mentors and helps to match the mentors with a person in need of mentoring. Informal mentoring, on the other hand, can develop naturally between partners, such as business networking situations where a more experienced individual meets a new employee and the two build a rapport. What are the benefits of mentoring? Various research studies found that mentoring has significant behavioral, attitudinal, health-related, relational, motivational, and career benefits. Mentoring can be beneficial to mentees, helping them to build leadership skills, make informed decisions, improved communication skills, avoid common pitfalls, focus on their goals, emotional support, advice, discussing goals, and knowledge transfer. Mentoring can benefit mentors in many ways, including leadership development, networking, personal satisfaction, confidence boost, and gaining new perspective and insights. There are also many benefits for an employer to develop a mentorship program for new and current employees, such as setting up a career development mentoring program for employees to learn new skills and behaviors from senior employees. This can help align organizational goals with employees' personal career goals of progressing within the organization. Mentoring, examples of great mentors. Mahatma Gandhi mentored many leaders in non-violent resistance, including Martin Luther King Jr. Is that familiar? Socrates mentored Plato, who mentored Aristotle, and they influenced or are influencing Western philosophy profoundly. Steve Jobs mentored Mark Zuckerberg during the early years of Facebook. Gen Z people here, if any, is that familiar? Maya Angelou mentored Oprah Winfrey, providing guidance on life and career. Mother Teresa mentored countless individuals on service and selflessness. Nearer home, Akintola Williams, pioneer of the accountancy profession in Nigeria and a role model. He mentored many professional accountants on probity in personal and professional life. Akintola Williams is my mentor, or was my mentor. I will share the experience with you soon. Hamza Dayad, the former was known for mentoring future leaders, including Nasir El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State, and a federal minister in Nigeria. I also know he mentored Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, who is a federal minister in many ministries. Nearer home, which I've mentioned, I would now like to share my experience, because in a few minutes, what I'm about to do is to talk in about 5 minutes a relationship which lasted over 60 years. So Akintola Williams, my mentor, and I as the mentee, I started work at Akintola Williams & Co. in February 1959 as an accountancy apprentice. Note the word apprentice. So apprenticeship is just not in crafts or trade. It can be in professions. That was the title given to me. Accountancy apprentice stroke audit clerk trainee. Under the direct tutelage of Mr. Akintola Williams. I learned the rubrics of accounting: casting, vouching, verifying, be diligent, pay attention to details. Trust is good, control is better, verification is best. Akintola Williams gave me a loan and got me enrolled with H. Foxlynch in London for correspondence course. He did that. The loan, I didn't apply for the loan. It was he who originated it and said, I'll give you a loan. You take a correspondence course in London for the ACCA examinations. He didn't stop there. I will do the studies. They will send me questions. I will answer them, return it. In the good old days, post was good. You return it to London, it comes back regularly. When the returns come, Mr. Akintola Williams will now take over and look at every answer, critique it, and give me help and support. That shows concern for my career and professional development. He also gave me a loan to procure a sweater and raincoat. Why was this important? It's for my concern for my personal welfare. I used to ride on a bicycle from Yaba to Martin Street in Lagos. Martin Street is near Kingsway. So on this day, I was on Kata Bridge and rain started falling. There was no place to hide. I kept on. Unfortunately for me, when I got to the office on the second floor, 11 Martin Street, I ran straight into Mr. Akintola Williams. He looked at me. I was drenched like a fowl. He didn't say a word. He went to his office. When I've composed myself, he sent for me. He didn't query me. He knows that this is a poor boy on a bicycle. He said, now, you don't have a sweater, you don't have a raincoat. I said, no, sir. I will give you a loan. Go to Kingsway. You know Kingsway? Go and buy a sweater and a raincoat. And come and show me. Professionally, that is verification. Dress code. We, trainees, must wear a shirt and tie to the office. You put on properly laced, well-polished black shoes. Cut shoes were not allowed. He spared we, the trainees, wearing a jacket because we couldn't afford it. So shirt and tie is good enough. We must be punctual, courteous, and polite when we go to clients' offices. Then an accountant must never use an eraser. If you do, you are altering accounting records. You are mutilating accounting records. That is a crime. If you promise, you must deliver. Your word must be your bond. I had occasion one day to tell Mr. Williams, by this time, I was already now MD of Nestle. And Akintola Williams and Co. were doing professional work for us, I think as reporting accountants for the scheme of arrangement. So in my excitement, when we were working together, I said, sir, I hope you have Nestle shares. He returned brusquely to me and said, I do not buy shares in the companies that I audit. That is, for me, example of probity in both business and professional life. He told us we must practice moderation and humility. Time will not allow me to give you examples, but I put here the Vinaro's experience in the year 2000. Simply put, because of time, we were guests in his villa in Vinaro's. Vinaro's is 2 hours south of Barcelona in Spain. And when the day of departing came, I packed my briefcase or suitcase, heavy. And Mr. Williams stood up to carry my suitcase to take it to the car below. I sprang to my feet. I was now struggling. I said, sir, you can't take my suitcase. He said, but you are my guest. I said, taboo. You will carry, exactly, that's what I said, A1. I said A1. He wants to carry my heavy suitcase down the stairs to the waiting car, and I will be marching behind him. I said, no, sir. What is that? Example of humility. And I thought I got that. Go thou and do likewise. He said, I'm now using my own words, study yourself approved so that you need not be ashamed. That is professional knowledge, character, and competence. I can give examples, but time will not allow us. Then, all the Ultram pattern, any lawyers here? Here the other side. When people go to report me to Mr. Akintola Williams, and people, distinguished people, those we call big men in society, Mr. Williams will tell them, is that so? Leave it with me. He will promptly call for me. And in calling for me, he would pick the phone and said, Shebon, are you there? I said, I would like to come and see you. Of course, I said, no, it can't happen, sir. Tell me where, I will come. But again, that's humility. He phoning, he wants to come and see me. So, anyway, he will now listen to my story to hear the other side, which is an important principle. When you hear something, always hear the other side before you take a decision. Mr. Williams, now watching my growth, by 1987, he sponsored my joining the Metropolitan Club. I didn't have to sweat for it. There's a story behind it. I just got a letter of invitation. You are a member of Metropolitan Club. Because Mr. Williams was a founding member and he's looking after his mentee. That's how I joined Metropolitan Club. That is networking. Mentor, mentee, networking. I was hospitalized in 1997 in London. Mr. Akintola Williams visited me in my ward in the hospital and stayed for 2 hours. That is emotional support. Mrs. Oye Williams, it's a family affair now. Mrs. Oye Williams encouraged my wife and I to borrow money for our children's education abroad. because the incessant strikes then, I'm talking of the late 1980s and 1990s, was disrupting university life for the children. Mrs. Williams, I quote in Yoruba, her words, kò sí ẹni tó ní owó yẹn o, wọ́n yáwó ṣe ni o. You don't have the money put aside when it comes to the education of your children. It's a lifelong investment. Go and borrow money to invest in their human capital development. That was Mrs. Williams. So I think I have said enough about lifelong mentoring between the mentor, Akintola Williams, and mentee. Okay. So in appreciation, I now, the mentee, have become the MD CEO of Nestle Nigeria PLC. I therefore secured an invitation for Mr. Williams and Mrs. Williams as official guests of Nestle headquarters in Switzerland. The headquarters is in a small village, Vevey. Some of you may pass through by train, by Lake Geneva in Switzerland. At the 1999 edition of the Once in 20-25 Years Wine Festival, initiated by the Brotherhood of Wine Growers, which was founded in 1797. Why was this important? This wine festival takes place only once in 20 to 25 years. I attended the 1977 festival for acculturation to immerse me in the Nestle tradition and so on. That was why I was invited. I was already finance director in Nigeria. So the next one was 1999. It is a big do. Vevey, small town, 20,000 people. But the festival is worldwide, it's known worldwide. And it will receive 400,000 tourists because it's a 3-week extravaganza. Of course, we didn't say 3 weeks, 1 week. You do wine tasting, dancing, fiesta, carnival, festival for 1 week. So I got Mr. and Mrs. Akintola Williams invited. That is my own way of showing appreciation to my mentor. It was a week-long festival, and Mr. and Mrs. Akintola Williams enjoyed that week thoroughly. It also served as the precursor for his 88th birthday. So, in reciprocation, when you do anything to Mr. Williams good, he doesn't forget, he will find a way to reward your good deed. So, Mr. and Mrs. Williams invited my wife and I to their holiday home in Vinaroz, Spain, for a week in the summer of 2000, where they spoiled us a little. That week served as a precursor to my 60th birthday. Now, I've been speaking as a mentee. I am also a mentor. Actually, if there was a seat here, I mean, I should sit in the middle. Mentor, mentee. I am a mentor to many over the past 15 years and still counting. This is a way of giving back to society what I have learned in my profession, in industry, and from the school of life. My mentees are many, but I now just find myself, when I reflect on the past, I find that I also mirror consciously or subconsciously the attributes and activities of my mentor, the elder statesman, Pa Akintola Williams, CFR CBE, in serving God, country, and humanity. In conclusion, as I leave you with a maxim, have a mentor and be a mentor. Each of us will have gifts we can pass down to other people. At the same time, we don't know it all. We should also be mentee. Omolawale is my mentor. Olubanjo is my mentor. He died last year, age 100. Omolawale, 96. Akikube, 96, my mentor. When I go to them, I'm going as a mentee to learn. I let them do the talking. It's not, the wisdom comes out. Wisdom of age, wisdom of experience. We also can become mentors. When you are a mentee, be a mentor. So I say, be a mentor, have a mentor, and be a mentor. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow mentors and mentees, I thank you for your attention.
On this note, I'd like to invite Dr. Chisom Malize to just identify the mentors and mentees in the room. Dr. Malize is the MD CEO of the Financial Institution Training Center, which I believe we all know. And she is the vice chair of the Women Directors Development Committee of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria. Ma, you're welcome.
I'm going to be standing on existing protocols. We've heard quite a lot of it today. And every of the distinguished persons in the room recognize your presence from both our very distinguished guests, our speakers, our keynotes, and the president of the Institute. We do recognize that. And of course, every member of the Institute as well as the people present here today. It's such a great honor to be doing this today because it's been a journey for every single person who have added and contributed to the success of this very visionary project. We're very delighted to have it happen. We're delighted because it just starts with a vision and then a step and then it happens. And so today we would like to introduce us to the mentees and the mentors in the room. We also do recognize that a good number of people are online, and it was intentional to have a split considering the fact that so many people have subscribed to this from all over the world and all over the country and all of every single person who is interested in the process. And like our very distinguished keynote has said, be a mentor, be a mentee. So whichever one that you are here today would like to recognize you. And I would start in no particular order with the mentors that are physically present while recognizing the ones that are not here. Nkem, Oni, Egboni, and I'm talking about the mentors now. Thomas CIoD, Akata Grant, Fagbemi Olatokumbo, and Shola Ephraim, Akin Dada. Please stand up if you're in the room. EJ Jidema, please stand up if you're in the room so you can be recognized. Maki Idowu, Janet Adetu, Olanrewaju Oluseyi. Please put your hands together for them for accepting to bring significant impact to this process. Olanrewaju Oluseyi, please stand up if you are in the room so that we can recognize you. A good number of them are also online. We also have, as part of the mentors, Tosi Ajose, Nkechi Ezeako. Please put your hands together for them. Chief Olusegun Oshunke. This is living true to your word. He said, be a mentor, be a mentee. And it's a privilege to see that he has also subscribed to be a mentor within the IOD. Yes, thank you very much. And we also have Bamidele Alimi. We have Justina Lewa. We have our distinguished president, Borodu Tijani. Yes. We also have, those Mohammed Kasim, Olatunde Balogu, Ammonia, Sylvanos, Delphine. Please, you can sit down after the recognition. We just wanted to say a big thank you to you. Thank you very much. Besides our pool of mentees whom we have online for this program, we would also recognize the ones that are in the room. And we're delighted that you signed up for this program because it's important that this sort of exchange that can make the organization stronger and bigger and better, like we heard the keynote, is very critical. So we are delighted to have Eyo. Please stand up. Mentee. Olanrewaju, yes. Adenrele Onikosi, please stand up to be recognized. Olufunke Tonye Prefagi, Temitayo Leke Adekeye, Adeyemi Margaret Elizabeth Johnson. Please stand up. Ngu Akachi, Adedoyin Shegun Noibi. We have Onolaja Roslyn. We have Aino Dele Adegbola. We have Ofulue Ugonna Stacy. We have Ogbaegbe Amaka Pamela. The clap is getting thinner. Thank you. We have Nabugu Chinyere Peace. We have Olatomiwa Williams. We have Folashade Akim Musire. We have Utomi Isioma. Oluwaleti Oluwasegun. We have Olatunji Toyosi. And this, thank you very much for recognizing them. And so on this note, would like to one more time say that the Chartered Institute of Directors is very, very visionary and has gone ahead to not just constitute programs, but to also bring practical engagements between mentors and mentee as we prepare and shape leaders for tomorrow and build resources for organizational success. So on this note, I would say congratulations in advance to all of the mentees, and thank you so much to the mentors who have donated of their time, passion, and knowledge to make this a success. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. I'd like to humbly invite, in fact, at this point, we are at another juncture where we're going to learn and we're going to engage. As a matter of fact, after this particular point, we'll have opportunity of asking questions and receiving answers. And, you know, that is it. So, for this program, we have a guest speaker who is going to be speaking to some subjects concerning mentor and mentees. And that is no other person than Mr. Nnamdi Okonkwo, I'm very sorry, FCIOD, is a well-known person in the financial services sector. As a matter of fact, if you have one or two things to do with First Bank, you know, Fidelity, GT, just name it, you must have met him at one point in time or the other. Is someone who has, you know, traversed the banking industry within and outside Nigeria for close to 35 years. Is the immediate past group managing director of First Bank Nigeria Holdings PLC. That is the parent company of First Bank of Nigeria Limited and other subsidiaries. His work experience spans over 32 years of focused and result-oriented local and international banking. Before joining FBN Holdings, Mr. Okonkwo was the managing director, CEO of Fidelity Bank from January 2014 to December 2020. He had previously served as the executive director of Southern Nigeria in Fidelity Bank. And during his tenure as the CEO, the institution witnessed a series of significant transformations, one of which was the bank's meteoric rise from mid-table to the leading Tier 2 bank in Nigeria, and also enhanced its top ranking among banks in Africa. And so many feats, you know, that Fidelity achieved during his tenure. Of course, on the international space, he was the regional CEO covering the West African Monetary Zone for United Bank of Africa PSC, overseeing group operations in Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, a role combined with being substantive managing director, CEO of UBA Ghana, and, you know, so many other achievements. Today, I just don't want to bore us with his long profile. It's my pleasure to invite Mr. Nandi Okonkwo to give us a short, experience sharing with regards to how he has been a mentor and a mentee at the same time, and which is still continuing. He might, I say, okay, maybe retired from First Bank, but I can tell you he's not tired. He's still very vibrant. We were joking about it, I think day before yesterday, we were all laughing. Sir, you are most welcome, sir.
I used to live in Ghana at some point in my career. And no Ghanaian starts any speech without saying, all protocols observed, as the Nigerians would say. So I used to find it almost offensive. And then I started asking myself, where did we even get this from? I think it was military, a long romance with the military that must have given us that culture. Secondly, before I say anything, I don't know if this was a setup, because our father here, to have spoken before me, I think I will simply say I concur and go and sit down. But I think that also would be disrespectful to him if I don't say anything. But Daddy, thank you very much. Some of us have watched you from afar long ago. By the way, mentorship, you can mentor people without even ever meeting them. That is the situation here. At Nestle, and something happened to the corporate world that is not very good. The men and women that ran corporate Nigeria in those days were epitome of integrity, beacon of light, and their stories sounded alike. And in the university those days, you looked forward to them. Never mind that at some point, all sorts of people became CEOs, and it didn't quite go that way. But by God's grace, from platforms like this, we hope that people will begin to see that values actually can take you far. So you see, I'm finding it difficult to start, but they say I should share experience. I make a joke that if we are praying, don't ask my wife to pray, because it will turn to night vigil. So, so I don't want to go that route. I think I will just speak offhandedly, because my life's experience has just shown me, like the Bible says that before you were conceived in your mother's womb, he knew you. And so God aligned destiny helpers, mentors, without me knowing. If I start from the beginning and come to now, like I said, it will turn to night vigil. So I'll just cut it short. But let me start. In my family, my brother, my immediate senior brother, who is an architect now, my father had spent his hard-earned dollars sending him to the US to go and study medicine, because every parent wanted a doctor in the house. And he got there, and sadly, after like a year or two, he wrote a letter to my dad and said he wants to pursue his passion. He would rather be an architect than a doctor. Anyway, while my dad was still worrying about that, second-tier foreign exchange market happened, and the man found himself school fees increased from $6,000 to $13,000. And so anyway, fast track, I was to be the next doctor. And as God will have it, I was very good with the sciences. So in those days, if you were good with sciences, you were placed in Form 4A after year 3. So I was in that class. And like today, by the way, most of us in that class are either doctors, engineers, etc. So mentorship started for me. Apart from, let's leave parents. They are your life God-given mentors. But mentorship started for me when I got very close to a doctor who had come to do youth. I was born in Benue State, by the way. I grew up there until secondary school level. And my father relocated from Lagos 1955 to settle there. Businessman, they will find out where the money was to be made. So then there was this doctor that came to town to do youth service and settled there, set up very, flourishing medical practice. Without knowing it, from being our family doctor, he took a liking to me, himself and his wife, and we became family. So we play games during holidays, And the man would tell me about medical. Oh, you want to be a doctor? He kept encouraging me. And then I left secondary school, applied for JAMB. I scored 280. Cut-off that year was 282. So I was sad. I took off to Enugu to go and do A-levels. And then my mom's relative said to me, and I'm just telling this story so you see how mentorship was happening without me knowing. Now said to me, maybe you should take agri-economics slot, because in year one, everybody in agri-economics, you did the same programs with medical students. In fact, we did more, coordinate geometry, vectors, and statistics to prepare us to be solid farmers and, and business people. So I started that, and at the end of the year, my faculty released me to go to medical school. I had medical school offered me admission. I had no clue that I needed to also get my faculty to release me. So out of excitement, I went home vacation and came back to go and resume in medical school. In fact, I was already thinking how my white lab coat would look like and all that, only for me to get a shocker. One of the professors asked me, did Professor Lomu approve this? I said, no, do I need approval from? I said, yes. And anyway, like a joke, they said to me, if you're likely to make a first class at 2-1, we're not going to release you. Year one passed. And I was agonizing. Year two, they now released me. Medical school said, oh, we offered you last year, we cannot take you. This time, I was to go to year 3. So was I now going to start afresh? That was where mentorship started. The doctor, Dr. Namono, said to me, I don't want to discourage you, but I also have a friend, a roommate, Neboli Sarah, who schooled with me at UI. Now, the guy is in banking, and the kind of money he gets paid, I can't make that in 1 year in my clinic. So he said, maybe God, if I tell you to go on, you might think I don't want you to be like me. But trust me, if you want to still pursue medicine, I'll support you. But I think you can take this option. Did I have a choice at this point? Because I was going to lose like 2 years, 3 years. Again, by chance, my hostel father in secondary school became the ADC of the governor then, John Makinenga. And so I met him by chance, and they gave me a free pass to the government house anytime, even when they traveled. It was in that situation that I met 3 different bankers. One was in UBA, one was in Savannah Bank, and one was in, I can't remember the bank now. And so one day after an event, we sat down talking, and they asked me, and I started telling my story. Each one was saying, oh, welcome to the club. Well, in fact, one of them had given me a ride in his Santana car. And then the other one, when we came out, had this big 505 Evolution in those days. So they said, welcome to the club. I said, what club? They said, oh, it's the same course I studied. I'm like, really? You mean I can become somebody doing banking? The one I thought, medical was all. Anyway, so I made up my mind to go on. I kept saying, well, if I don't do this, maybe my immediate younger brother, Chooks, will be the family doctor. By the way, he's a lawyer today. So my parents, by the time my niece became a medical doctor, Mike's daughter, by the time she became a medical doctor in the US, my parents had passed away. So when we get to heaven, we tell them that we made it at the end. But let's come back to mentorship and how all this connect. I spent a lot of time with Dr. Namono, and for him to continue encouraging me, he introduced me to to Neboli Sahara. And we started from there. Then I went to serve in Merchant Bank of Africa, where she was my boss, Mrs. Jidema. She was in charge of HR then. But what you and Mr. Boyo didn't know was that, okay, I can't say this publicly, a very influential man, himself and I, we played the first one on the influential man who was a stakeholder. And we came there and said, look, Daddy said you should consider making me serve in this bank. And he gladly said, okay, we want coppers to come in. And that's how I started my career. But then the mentorship started coming with the first people I worked with, Dele Ogundikwe, Steve Aledeshawe, Mrs. Julie Nwokolo. Each person, they were hand-holding me until a fraud happened. Look, it was like my world had ended. I don't know if you remember. A senior manager. I used to work in a department called Money Desk. And my job was, government made a rule then that banks needed to refund excess interest they had charged different customers. So because I used to work in operations, this time they have moved me to corporate finance where Jimovia was the head. So my job in corporate finance then was to look for all those companies and process their refunds and take it to my former department, Money Desk. And I was busy doing that, and it was going on until one day, a colleague of mine, Vivian, called me on the intercom. You're very aggressive. When you want something, you push us to approve. Since yesterday, we've processed your paper. You don't want to come and collect it and pay your customer. I said, I didn't submit any request. She said, no, it's here with me. I see your signature. I've processed it. So I went downstairs to 5th floor where I used to work, and she gave it to me. Now, the head of that place, I won't mention his name now, had gone to the gents. So when Vivian showed me, I said, this is not my signature now. That even Mr. Aladeshawa's signature looks shaky. So as we were discussing, he came in. I now started telling him, Oga, it looks like somebody has tampered my signature. He said, give it to me. I gave him, he said, follow me. I was like, I'm dead. Okay, so he took me to one corner in the building and said, I did it. I did it. Please don't tell anybody. Okay, but I'll settle you. Yeah. Young boy, how old was I? Fresh from school. I saw my world crumbling, because who would believe me? So God gave me the wisdom, you know what? Play along. So I said, okay, I won't talk, but you have to hand over the documents to me so that I'm sure it doesn't exist anymore. So he gave me. Dele Ogundikwe used to give me a ride home. He's the one that taught me. In fact, accounting, he's the one that explained balance sheet to me. He's the one that, so he was meant. And then I found him as comfort zone. So I went, I said, oh, God, Dele, I'm in trouble. Something has happened, but I didn't do it. Mr. Demet, ouch, God, I'm sorry. The person said, I did it and was begging me to cooperate. And I thought the best move is to come and report to you. He said, really? And then he looked, he said, they forged Steve's signature to Mr. Aladeshawe. He said, follow me. We went into, at this time I was still scared that I'm the new person here. What if this guy insists that I'm the one? Anyway, we got into Mr. Aladeshawe's office, and he was, in fact, he shifted his Port Harcourt trip that day. He was to travel. And we all went down to the MD's. No, they all went down to the MD's desk. Sitting there in my office, I was wondering what would become of me. And then they came back and said the MD wanted to see me. At that point, they got this guy. He confessed, luckily. So they called policemen from Lion Building to come and take him away. And that's how he lost his banking career. Years later, when I was a deputy general manager living in Dolphin Estate, each time I was going to work, I see him in the rain waiting for a bus. So that was mentoring to me, because it's like, this can happen to you. Now, but the bigger part of the positive side of the mentoring was, in that bank, I found parents, that people I didn't know, and they helped me. In fact, with the exit of Mr. Ovia with some staff to go and start Zenith Bank, I found myself going to DC Gardner training, and that really prepared me. So for me, that was mentorship. And we maintained that relationship up till today with most of those people. But it gave me the push I needed. Then at a point, why did I switch to Guaranteed Trust? I was bragging like I work for Merchant Bank of Africa, and then I'll go where, the rest of Continental and all of that. Then I went for an event. I met some of my colleagues in the University of Benin. I remember who had studied engineering. The way they were vibrating in class, during the lectures for training program. I'm like, where did you learn all this? And he said it was a new bank called Guaranteed Trust. I said, in this short time, you've learned all this? He said, yes. I'm like, okay. But are you sure you guys will even survive? You know, we are Merchant Bank of Africa, we are older and all that. But why am I telling this story nitty gritty? A lot of people mentored me, I didn't know. And there was a reason God wanted me to go to Guarantee Trust. Because he said to me, you know, you're bold. If Fola or Tayo, if they meet you, they will like to hire you. And when I saw what they were doing there, one evening, I, on my own, at my risk, sought permission of my supervisor that there's this new thing happening. We went for an FITC training in Kano. And people I used to know, we graduated together, that they have so much more knowledge than me. What am I still doing? I want to go and find out what they're doing. So he laughed. He used to tell me, you're not an Igbo boy, this boy, you're a Bendel, you're very aggressive. So he said, okay, how do you want to do it? I said, I don't know, but I'm going to go there one day. So I didn't tell him. After work one day, I went to 6 Adeyema Lakeja Crescent, Guarantee Trust Head Office. Said to the security men, you know, those guys in white and all that. Me too. As an Uniben boy, I can't carry less. So I was speaking with boldness like I was one big, you know. So I got there and said, I'd like to see either Mr. Adiola or Mr. Aderioku. So they said, okay, do you have an appointment? No. Is he related to you? No. Are you is this? No. And so what do you want to see him? I don't know where I got down. I said, if you can do what I want to see him for, then I won't be here. He's only one that can, you know. So because of how polite and courteous they were, this happened. They will make one phone call, come back to me and say, hold on. Finally, somebody came on the phone. Hello, my name is Fola Adiola. What can I do for you? I was like, Jesus, this is true. Then I said, good evening, sir. My name is Nnamdi Okonkwo. I currently work with Merchant Bank of Africa. I met some colleagues I used to know. They are transformed people now. And I asked them, where did you get these skills? In fact, a neighbor of mine, I was living in a boys' quarter then, my first rented apartment in Ikeja, Jerry. So Sadiq Bello was a neighbor, but he would drive off on a Saturday, on Sundays. Where do you go to? Oh, we have things to balance. He was working in this same Guarantee Trust. I'm like, what is this thing about Guarantee Trust all around me? So Fola said, I work in Merchant Bank of Africa. I know this is the kind of place I should be working at. He said, why do you think so? I said, I've seen and heard a lot, and I know my career needs this push. So he says, interesting. Give the phone to the security man. He said, but you see, I have a board meeting tomorrow. I won't be able to see you. But come upstairs and meet my secretary, Ben EJ. And if we look at your CV and we're interested in you, we'll let you know. I said, thank you, sir. I just need that opportunity for you to know that I'd rather be here. He said, okay. So I went upstairs. I dropped my CV. Next morning I got to work. I said, Mr. Ogundikwe, I told you. So what happened? I said, look, I nearly met Fola Adiola today. So what do you mean nearly? I said, so I said to him, I spoke to him and he received me well. I've dropped my CV with them. Just for full disclosure, I have to let you know. He said, Nnamdi, that's how he used to say, Nnamdi, you won't kill me. Yeah, you know. So I sat down. We used to sit in platforms and the bosses would sit behind. So I was the most junior in that department, so I was sitting in front of the row. So Mr. Ogundu, I gave them my boss's means of contact. I gave them my boss's phone number. So when his phone rang, I was busy working, and then I heard, you are Dupe Williams. You see, thank God I remember these names. And you're calling from Guarantee Trust? Yeah, okay. He said, oh, Nnamdi. And they said, Nnamdi, you have a call. So I walked there, picked it, and they said I should come and see them in the evening. I said, okay, after work. So I said, they want me to come after work. So when I got there, we took they said I should pick a date. I started bragging. Please be patient with my story because I would rather cut it off at some point than not make the lessons I have learned from my journey. So I got there, and because I felt I was working in Merchant Bank of Africa, which was bigger than this new bank, I said to them, when they saw my CV, they said, okay, we'll schedule you for a test. I said, test? A test is for entry-level people. Don't you know I came from Merchant Bank of Africa? that, I mean, why should I write a test? They said, you know, if you really want to join this institution, except if you are qualified to join as a senior banking officer, you must write this test. So while this was going on, I said, no, compare the two institutions. Who should be writing tests to join who? That was me. I don't think I have this kind of boldness. And maybe my risk management, training. So while this was going on, some young girl was at the corner making photocopies. I didn't know she was listening. She turned, said, "Oh, guy, your shakara is too much. If you're this confident, come and write our test and pass, not that you just be talking." So Anna said, "Is that a challenge?" She said that. I said, "Now write the test, give me a date." So they gave me 3 dates. One was 21st April, and then I think this was 1992. Yes, it was my birthday. So I took 21st April, and then I left. That weekend of the exam was going to be Salah weekend or Easter weekend, one of the two. I started thinking, I hear this exam is difficult. After all this shakara indeed that I had done, what if I fail? How will I now go and receive the result from these people I was, So I started asking questions. I had to, in those days, phones were not efficient. I drove to Ikoyi he was living with his uncle then, So I now said, "Oh boy, how did I pass this kind of test?" He said, "You better go and get a GMAT book and study it from page 1 to page last. So if not, you won't pass this exam." So I went to bookshop house because I was determined not to shame myself. Yeah. So they didn't have it. Then I called him again. He said, "There's a guy in Unilag that has it." But he didn't, no phones. So I drove on a Saturday, 10 a.m. to go and look for this guy. He didn't come back till 3 p.m. I was waiting. When I got that book, I photocopied it from beginning to the end. Then I told the security man where I was living. I hid my car at the back of that. I said, "If anybody comes this Easter period, tell them I have traveled." Because my friends will come and say, "Let's go to nightclub." And so I started reading because I didn't want to be disgraced. Anyway, fast track. I passed the exam. Okay, we attended that day, 3 of us passed. Then I joined Guarantee Trust, and my career started not just for the technical competence, but the culture. We had 2 young founders. I think at the time, Fola must have been like 38, because Antayo was about 36, because I remember their 40th birthdays were in the bank. Then I joined this institution that was like a family, where the MD would just come down, sit down, and we start talking. Where when it's 6 p.m., there was a restaurant across the road, I think 4 Seasons or something like that. Tayo and Fola will go with the boys, the girls, and we sit down there. We're drinking and talking. Then he drops his card to them and says, "Send it to my PA." He returns to the office. And that's why we could walk till 10 p.m. You won't feel like. So now my mentorship started with those 2. Let me fast track so that I can go to others. When I made manager in 7 years of starting my career, and then in Guarantee Trust, and they made me a branch manager. Well, I was in Port Harcourt because I was in a corporate banking person. Then I was appointed branch manager. Fola came to town. We had a meeting at Istanbul. I've cut out all the mentoring sessions they've been having with us, both of them. So we were riding in the car to Istanbul. He said, "Namdi, it wasn't a mistake that at your young career, we want you to go and run our 2nd major branch in the East, in Onitsha." He said, in front of my manager, Dolapo Gundemu, I said, "I have word for you. We didn't pick you by accident. A lot of bankers have lost their career in Onitsha, selling illegal foreign exchange. Some are in jail. Some have ruined their families. We want you to finish this assignment and return to Lagos the way you left." So I said, "Fola, I will not disappoint you." And then I went there, did my job, went back. So that mentorship, as I'm speaking to you, there's nothing I cannot pick up the phone and call Fola for. Tired of blessed memory, the same. Then I hadn't even studied mentorship as it were, but they helped mold our lives. When you're dating somebody and Fola sees that this thing is not going anywhere, he will ask you, "Hey, what of that person you introduced to me that now I'm seeing you with somebody else?" To the point that when you now get married, they know your wife, they know your children. So up till today. So that makes you begin to learn from them. Okay, let me fast track now to later days. I have only 20 minutes, and I believe I've done about half of that. So let me tell you what, not the night video. Let me tell you what the quickest one I can reward for using mentorships and mentors and mentoring people. I was at my friend's book launch, UKAK. I succeeded him as Holdco MD. And somebody kept looking at me from afar until she came over to where my wife and I were sitting. And she said, I just came to thank you for all you did for me. I said, I can't remember you. She said, I was your staff in Fidelity. What did I do? She said, after I interviewed, they asked me if there was anything they should know. And I said I was pregnant for 4 months with my first baby. Next thing I knew, I got a letter from HR that they will not hire me until I get, until I give birth. We don't want you to come here and start getting pregnant, you know. So, but she now reminded me that when the thing was escalated to me, I said that this person is sincere enough to disclose her status. Why should we deny her the opportunity of the job? I said overruled and approved. So she said they read it to her, and you know, so she said since that day she knew that you could actually that leadership, a lot is hidden from leadership. Why do you do that? Because you're also asking yourself, from values that you've gained over the years, this could be you doing the wrong thing without knowing. There was no policy that said, by the way, if you were working there before and you get pregnant, won't you stay till your maternity date? Okay, so I benefited from a lot of people doing things for me, to the point that a lot of people come to me and say, you did this, you do that, and I'm like, I can't even pay back enough what other people did for me. Okay, higher level now. I went to a training program in France. That was the AMP at INSEAD. And one of the professors did something about networking. Okay, he said, how many of you here have PDAs? This was 2008. That time we didn't have smartphones, it was just PDAs. So how many of you have PDAs? We put up our hand. How many contacts do you have? People announce different things. He said, I want to teach you something new today. And I've used this to actually mentor my people. He says, do you know the operative word in this word, networking? We said no. He said, okay, you meet somebody, you exchange cards, you build your database. Some people have 15,000 contacts, some 10,000. He says, when you're doing that, you're building a net. But then for you to have network, you have to do the work of reaching out, of having a structure. On Saturdays, your Saturday might be for today. I'm going to call every family member for just 2 minutes. How are you doing? How are the kids? You drop. He said, when you do that in the real world, you find out that you've built a solid network. And mentorship comes from these people you've built this network with. And that's where the high point of my story is that I've been there, done that in the career. Because I rose, if you like, fast, I became CEO at 42. And when I finished, of course, there are people that did it at 30, whatever, but I know where I'm coming from. I didn't get any propeller. So I'm not from one of those privileged backgrounds, right? But then I find myself coming back to Nigeria after being CEO in Ghana and supervising Liberia and Sierra Leone along with Ghana. Then there's no vacancy on the board. Then I saw my career crash in front of me. And it was mentorship that pulled me out of that. I'll tell you why. When I started wondering, that's when the bank created this thing called group executive. After ED, you then have the group. You are not an ED, but you're also not an AGM, and neither are you MD. so well, I sat there. I told my wife, look, if things don't change in another 2 years, I'll know that this is the end of my career. I'll know that God just wants me to go and do something else. She said, I don't believe it's time. I know you still have a lot of way ahead of you. So that is the high point of my mentorship. Before this time, when I was a regional director in Abuja, I used to hop from one minister's office to one other person's office to the other. There's a particular man. When I'm getting into a minister's office, I see him leaving. When I'm checking into Hilton, I see him checking in or checking out. And I used to say, sir, you market more than we bankers. Oh. He was the chairman of a bank. He was a co-founder of Intercontinental Bank. He was a co-founder of Fidelity Bank. I'm talking about Dr. Raymond Obieri. And I admired that man so much because he was not executive, but he was helping his people. Sometimes you go to pitch for a business because he just spoke to the people. You see that they will get it. So I just said, look, I like this man. And then I put that in the parking lot. This was happening like year 2000 plus. But then when I came back from Ghana in 2011-ish, yeah, they had told me to go and look for a mentor and formally ask the person to mentor you. That was in, I think that was in Harvard or Stanford, one of those programs. So I remember this, senior in the industry. So I got his phone number, I called him. I said, sir, I would like to see you. He said, okay. I came, I introduced myself. He said, I know you. He knows my name, but that he really didn't know me quite well. I said, I've seen my career stagnate. And I've been told that I should look for somebody who has been something you want to be and more. That the best way to find a mentor, I was told in that school, is that go and look for somebody who has done all these things you think are bigger places and let him talk to you about the ups and downs. So I said, I had Atido Peterside in mind. I had Fola Adeola and Tayo in mind. But I'm kind of close to those people. So because of the way I've followed you, I've come to you, sir, to ask if you can mentor me. Because right now my career is at crossroads and I'm wondering, I say, even if my career was not at crossroads, I've realized, like I was also taught, that no matter how high you are, our father here said so, that no matter your age, you still need mentors. So after telling him that, he was like, wow. So tell me about yourself. When he saw my profile, he said, really? You've been CEO before, so what is the problem? I now explained to him. He said, yeah, that's reality of life. That when a board is full by regulation, you can. I said, so why did they tell me to come back? Because by the time I came back, things changed. And anyway, so he said, don't worry. Just continue what you're doing. But if there are any opportunities for me to help further, I'll let you know. I thanked him. I left. He said, take my number. Feel free to call me anytime. That was a turning point in my career without me knowing. 1 week later, and that's why when you walk the net, you get network. So he called me and said he was in his house. He got a call from the villa that the MD of NDIC, then I think Ogunleye, was retiring and they needed to hire a new MD. And they've asked him to bring CVs. So he said, okay, send me your CV, let me see. So I submitted my CV to him. And later he called me and said, if anybody calls you to give them 1 kobo, make sure you do not, because I didn't ask for this. So I left it. Later on again, he called me and said, they've gotten back to him to say, the rule is that you have to have been an ED in a Nigerian bank before you can qualify to be MD of NDS. I was like, what kind of awkward thing? But I still let it go. Then 1 month later, this happened so fast. He calls me again and says, the executive director in charge of Southern Nigeria is retiring in Fidelity Bank. And that when he got to here, he was like, okay, that might be a good opportunity for you to interview. So send me your CV again. And I did. Next thing I got a call. They sent our names to KPMG. Those ones did a short list and submitted to the board. And again, when I got there, we were 10 people, So that number was just following me. So when we finished the interview, myself and Mohammed Balarabe were selected. Mohammed for the North and me for the South. That's how I became executive director in Fidelity Bank. I never dreamt that it wasn't even, but if And remember, up to this point, again, he now said to me, he had, as a sense of duty, he had to do his background search about me, and that he's very excited, and he believes that I go places. And so I thanked him. 1 year down the line, the MD of Fidelity Bank, Reginald Ihejahi, was retiring. Again, they took 6 of us executive directors and asked KPMG to source 4 from outside. And we went through the assessment room. And then after that, I was selected. That's how come I became MD. Networking, mentorship. But the essence of his mentorship did not even come full scale. Along the way, like a pilot flying, I had turbulent winds. My career was shaken to the roots for something I did not do. But guess what? He went everywhere with me to say, this is my son. I know what he cannot do. He'll be exonerated. I'll never forget one day we were to travel together, and he walked, like left his house to come and wait at the junction. Look, that day I felt like you didn't have to. So that is mentorship. Do you know what? It has now extended to every other aspect of my life. If I want to do something significant, he's my sounding board because of the wisdom that he has, which I cannot buy. And the sincerity, the openness has helped me. I just chose a few. But I tell you, that is the story of mentorship. And what did I do in return? Deliberately, I've been mentoring people on my own. That's why when I was invited as chairman of mentoring and advisory committee of Chartered Institute of Bankers, I accepted. I was chairman for 2 years. And, we ran that program. So I'm very pleased to be here or to be given this opportunity to speak. I don't know, because I was saying to them, where do I start? But I remember that they taught us how to write summary in those days of WAEC. So I've done a bad job of writing the summary, but this is just to give you the key points. Thank you.
If we say this is another school, it will not be too much. But what stands out for me is that walk the net so that you can have the network. And that is very, very outstanding. Thank you so very much, sir. Well, without much ado, we're going to just take a few questions, maybe 3 questions, which I believe either him or Chief Oshukeye can speak to. 3 questions.
Thank you, Mr. Denipekun. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to the guest speaker also. Incidentally, before I start, let me also register the fact that I'm one of the mentees of Chief Oshukeye. Really, this is a comment, and I want to talk about how a mentee, some of the things that I think are important for the mentee to be able to get as much as possible from his or her mentor. Firstly, you need to have a willingness to learn, to listen, not to be full of yourself, to understand and be receptive to the ideas and comments that are going to come your way. Because I can tell you, sometimes you have a mentor who may be brutally frank and may tell you things that do not sit down well with you. In fact, you may just feel, what is this old man talking about? So you really have to have that kind of frame of mind. I think it's very important. And I'll just illustrate, if you give me 1 second. Many years ago, I happened to be district manager for Lagos for Mobilon Nigeria PLC. I had about 8 people reporting to me. And we had a trainer who came from the United States, and his job was basically to teach us the best practices as far as running a petrol station, displaying things in the supermarket, and so on and so forth. So he came down, and I was out with my team. So while the guy was showing us what to do, I joined him and physically was doing it. And some of my own juniors who worked for me were just kind of standing aloof. So later in the day, in the evening, the man was asking me, aren't these people, don't they work for you? And I said, yes, they do. He said, but while you were busy with me filling the shelves and whatever, they were just chatting, and they thought it was like a gravy train and all that. But where did this, we developed a relationship, me and this guy. Of course, these were days before the internet and all that, so this relationship wasn't really direct, but he knew of me. Do you know that he went back to the United States, and periodically, all over the countries in Africa, Mobile used to call people to the headquarters for internship, to spend a year or two filling a role as training for higher appointments. But normally, those nominations would come from the various African countries. But in this particular case, this man got back to the US and insisted that I was the one that should come from Nigeria, all because of being willing to learn and listen to him and get, you know, his ideas about how things should be done. So the point I really want to make is for you as a mentee to be able to benefit and gain from your mentor, you really have to have the frame of mind and attitude to be able to receive and benefit from that mentor. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. That is very, very important, and even from all the experiences that have been shared, we can pick that, you know, but it's good that it is being reinforced. Then another important point that I want us to take note of is the fact that, you know, mentor-mentee relationship can outgrow the, you know, narrow, if you would like, curriculum that it starts with. Okay, it can really, over the years, depending on how it is managed, particularly by the mentees, it can grow to, you know, something big. I mean, to every aspect of life, and so it's a big, you know, point that we have to take note of. Okay, if there is no other question, I'd like to. Oh, okay, ma.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much to Chief Oshokaye and Nnamdi Okonkwo for their very insightful presentations. My name is Bimbola Wright. Chief Oshokaye is an indirect mentor of mine. Chief, I'm one of the Amazons. I know you know what that is. So the question I'd like to ask is, you know, sometimes when you're mentoring, I've mentored quite a few people, and sometimes there's that tendency of mentees to begin to over-rely on mentors, such that, you know, that independence which they really need. And, you know, I'm speaking to sort of a negative part of mentoring, which needs to be looked out for, and, you know, just to seek advice as to how you would manage, because you don't want to strip anyone of their self-esteem, but at the same time, it's also important that, yes, you are adding value to the individual, but they need to develop that independence that they need to navigate the challenges of life. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, ma. Is it a question you want one of them to respond to? Okay, okay. Please bring the mic. Yeah. Let Chief speak to that, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright. The brief answer is this: mentor and mentee. Before you become mentor and mentees, your values must sort of align. So if somebody approaches a proposed mentee or prospective mentee approaches a prospective mentor, it is left to the mentor also to size up the whole ambience. Is the mentee wanting to be mentored? What are his or her values? If you feel you can add value to the relationship, you go ahead. If you feel that the mentee wants to add another name to his or her CV, you say network. Yes, maybe it's network, but the network should be of value to both parties. Because you as a mentor, your name is also important. Your reputation, rather, is important. I won't be proud to be saying I'm mentoring somebody who people believe is, he has just gone on a, what do you call it, on one trip. You know what I am understanding? That is the perception others have of the person, because he may look big, he may look wealthy, because of dubious transactions. That you mentor, you cut off, it's not going to happen. So it is a matter of the values also aligning, and in that alignment of values, you, the mentor, feel you can help the mentee one or two steps higher to the benefit of both of you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, sir. One last question. Okay. From Madam. Yes. Online. Okay. Please, microphone here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think we had two comments. Mine is not a question. It's more like an appreciation, so that there will be a balance. The mentors have spoken, I think, from our own end. My name is Nnabuogu. My name is Nnabuogu Peace. I'm an applied physicist. I come from the academia, so I haven't really had, I've not had experience in the industry that much. So I like Mr. Nnamdi, I have always wanted to be a medical doctor, but I found myself in physics, and I was told I would end up as a teacher. But I became a researcher and play in the clean cook space. Becoming a director in an organization, before now, I've, been mentoring young undergraduates. But becoming a director became like a big shoe to wear. So I came to the Institute of Directors as a mentee. I just want to say thank you to the Institute for creating this platform, and I'm hoping that we'll have a good experience with our mentors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Want to take one from the participants online. Please, is there any one online who wants to ask a question or a comment? None. Okay, none. Okay, very good. So we are coasting home. At this point, I'd like to invite our immediate past president and the chairman of the Mentoring Scheme Supervisory Committee to lead both the mentors and the mentees in the covenants that govern this scheme. And this is very, very important. After taking the affirmations there is a slip at the base of the document that is given to you that you're going to sign and you're going to submit. But if you are still thinking about it, you may not have to do that. But I want to believe we are all serious here. So it's my pleasure to welcome our immediate past president, Dr. E.J. Chidema. You're welcome, ma'am.
Sorry, I've been given a task, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, but I hope you will give me some 5 minutes before the exact task that I have been given, because it gives me the opportunity to at least thank all of you, particularly the President and Chairman of the Governing Council, who has proved that governance is a continuum. I thank him for this opportunity to help midwife this and ensure that our vision is met. And Chief the chair, I don't know, nobody could have fit this, would I say, is it heart or what? I mean, this role that you have played today, because the way you have handled it is really fantastic, in the sense that you've seen it all, and you've shown us that we can be mentees and mentors, because learning is a continuous process. You continue to learn. I want to thank all of you for that, the first Vice President, the second Vice President, and all those in this mentorship scheme, particularly the Women Directors Development Committee, heavily led by Otumba Bola Oshibogun. She's not here today, but she and Dr. Chize were two of a kind, very, very dynamic. And so Dr. Grant, who is the chair of the Director Development Committee, has worked very hard, because the idea is for us to have an enterprise-wide sort of mentorship scheme for the institute that is fit for purpose, that it is distinctly that of Chartered Institute of Directors, that we meet our needs as directors, that will optimize the values. We have so much value within us, extract it for the benefit of the institute. I thank you very much, and the keynote speaker, Mr. Nnamdi Okonkwo. Thank you very much. So we believe that this will work, and people have asked questions. There are thin lines between role modeling, mentorship, coaching, and so on. And it's for us to work. I think this is more like pilot project. As we go, we'll be fine-tuning things, and I'm sure that at the end, we will be better off for it. Eventually, it will be automated. Thank you very much. So my task is very simple. I would like to start with mentees in terms of the affirmation. Can all the mentees, can you stand up? All the mentees in the house. And of course, as the chair rightly said, being a mentee is not a title. So even as you serve as mentees, you should become mentors of others. As you learn, you pass on your learning to other people. Okay? So please, can you say after me, I, having been selected as a mentee of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, hereby affirm that I will approach the mentoring relationship with respect and professionalism, acknowledging the mentor's expertise and wisdom. I will conduct myself with integrity openness, and a willingness to learn. I will take responsibility for my actions and decisions, actively participating in the mentorship process, and taking the guidance by my mentor seriously, whilst remaining largely accountable for my own professional development. I will adhere to the high standards of ethics and corporate governance as set out by the Chartered Institute of Directors, Nigeria, and relevant laws and regulations in Nigeria. I acknowledge that the mentoring relationship is professional, and we respect both the mentors and my own personal boundaries. I will refrain from any conduct that may be inappropriate or that could strain the professional nature of the mentor-mentee relationship. As a mentee, I understand the importance of maintaining confidentiality regarding any advice, discussions, or materials shared with my mentor. I will not disclose sensitive information without prior consent unless required by law or ethical obligations. I recognize that my growth as an emerging director requires active participation, and I will commit and engage fully in the mentoring process by being open to feedback, setting clear goals, and being proactive in my development. I will strive to attend scheduled meetings as much as possible, and where there's an emergency, I will notify my mentor in writing. I will come prepared to all mentoring sessions, having identified specific areas where I need guidance or support, and where necessary, be receptive to constructive feedback. I acknowledge that mentoring relationship is professional, and I will respect both the mentors and my own personal boundaries. I will refrain from any conduct that may be inappropriate or that could strain the professional nature of our relationship. I understand that mentoring relationship is focused on my professional development, and I will not place personal expectations on the mentors outside the scope of this development. I pledge to embrace and apply the principles of ethical leadership and good governance as shared by my mentor in all aspects of my professional life. I understand the importance of setting an example in both my personal and professional actions. I will approach my mentoring relationship with fairness, free from any form of discrimination based on race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, disability, or any other factor irrelevant to my growth as a director. Any other factor relevant, not irrelevant, relevant to my growth as a director. I will be an advocate for diversity and inclusion in my leadership roles. Understanding the value of these principles in organizational success. I will set clear, actionable goals for myself with the guidance of my mentor and ensure that I work diligently towards achieving them. I understand that the mentoring relationship is dynamic and we periodically assess the effectiveness of the mentorship with my mentor. I am open to feedback and constructive criticism to improve the relationship and my progress. If at any point, either my mentor or I feel that the mentoring relationship is no longer effective or beneficial, I'm committed to addressing this in an open discussion and deciding on the best course of action. Thank you. So help you, God. So you're required to sign the affirmation sheets and send to the Director of Academy. Thank you very much. This is quite a lot. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much for volunteering to give of your time. As you can see, it's a long one, and I believe I take it as read. So, I take it as read from 1 to 14. So I'll go down to 15. If for any reason, please repeat after me. Either party feels that the mentoring relationship is no longer viable or beneficial, I will engage in a discussion to decide upon an appropriate course of action, which may include ending the mentorship. Thank you. So please, yes, or seeking a new mentor for the mentee. So please, you're required to sign, write your name and sign, and send to the Director of Academy. Like I said before, this is novelty in our institute. We are prepared to take it to global levels, but we learn one step at a time. So as we go along, we'll be fine-tuning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have gotten to the climax of this event, and it is my pleasure to invite the chief host of this event, and I'm speaking of the president and the chairman of the Governing Council of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, Alhaji Tijani Borodo, FCIoD, to step up as he inaugurates this scheme. Sir, you are most welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Where do I start? But to me, what is most important is the scheme as it is. And I must welcome you all most sincerely for willing to partake in this scheme. Now, Chief Oshinkoye, somebody called him a grandfather. Whatever name we have for you, sir, you're rightly entitled to it. He's been my mentor for more than 15 years. More than 15 years. He's been that to me. And he's somebody who has always given me feedback. He calls me occasionally we speak, or I call him and say, how is I say, Alhaji Borodo, how about this? Oh, Mr. President, when I became president, he calls me Mr. President. So to me, he has been such a role model to me. He has been somebody whom I've always looked up to for leadership, for guidance. And I took it upon myself to say, how can I pay back to him? He might not know. Sheye, his son is my friend. I look out for Sheye and say, how are you doing? Without me telling him what it is. And his daughter, who is married to a colleague of mine in FBM Holdings, who is a company secretary like myself, I asked her, how are you doing? I never told him this. I never told any one of them, but I just felt that it was one of the ways that I could give back to them, to his own siblings. I know they don't lack people to guide them or mentor them, but I felt one of the things that I should do to give myself the satisfaction that I was paying back. So I could not pay enough. Nnamdi, my colleague, worked with Nnamdi in the banking industry for decades. Our paths crossed left and center, left, right, and center. But it became a little closer after I have left FBM Holdings and Nnamdi came in as the GMD. We worked closely with him. And Nnamdi, for your story, I can now understand some of the perspectives you have drawn my attention to when we are trying to manage issues for the FBM Holding Company. Nnamdi, thank you for your story. And I believe a lot of us will learn from what Nnamdi has gone through. And what is important about his story is that he was a determined person, very determined and very focused. And he never gave up. And I believe he had something that I also believe some of us have here. He spoke about his wife. She must have been the kind of person that Nnamdi needed for him to succeed in life. To encourage him and say, we can do it, don't give up, I am there with you. Nnamdi, my regards to Madam for what she's done to you. Yeah, I must say that. My IPP, Dr. Jidenma, you see, I believe like some of you or most of us here know, we have this system in the institute of handing over the baton. I call her my immediate past president. Before then, she was the president, I was her first vice president. Dr. Jidenma and myself have worked in the corridor of the leadership in the CIoD for the last 8 to 9 years, and we've worked very well. So when this idea of mentorship came during her own tenure, I supported her as a first vice president. And I knew it was the right thing to do. And she has alluded to the fact that there's continuity in the institute. It is her baby that she has started. I'm happy that we're delivering. My IPP, thank you for the idea. I assure you, history is being made today. The first vice president was here, and I'm sure he'll continue from wherever I'm going to. He is here. I'm sure he's going to continue when I hand over the baton to him. It's not going to be long from now. So I think thank you for your idea. It's a great idea, and I think it's something that we should look up to make sure that we deliver on it. I was talking to the DG. I said, DG, it is not enough we launch this, but rather it's something that we have to measure and continue to work with on a daily basis. We might even have to find ambassadors for this scheme. People who will deliberately create time to see how is this scheme going on. How are you measuring it? Where else do we need to go and get other mentors? Which industry is new? Where do we talk to the young directors? There's so much that we needed to do. But as I told the DG and the secretary to the council, it's something that we must be very deliberate about for it to get the footing that we want it to have. Just like our Young Directors Forum. So my charge to all of us here is that it's not enough we launch this scheme. There's so much work to do for it to be success, and I'm sure we'll succeed in it. Now to the, indirectly I've spoken to the mentors, to the mentees. Honestly, I'm one of you. I've just told you who my mentor is here. So wearing your own cap as mentees, part of the wordings of your affirmation is that you are doing this involuntarily. You believe in it. So please, during the course of this mentor-mentee relationship, there must be honesty in your dealings. That your mentor is willing to assist you in your career or in your goals. You must be honest and sincere in your discussions with him. It's only then that your mentor will be in a position to really guide and advise, so the two of you nurture you as a person to get to the level you want. So my appeal to you is that you should take this seriously. It's serious business. Honesty and sincerity in any relationship goes a long way in making it successful. Even if there are going to be problems will come in any scheme in life, but at least it's not a question of that I did not disclose this or I did not say this. So I wish you well. I also will say I wish myself well as a mentee. Now, having said all of this, I have a speech here. It's not necessary. I'm just speaking from my head. The DG and your team, you've done a lot of work. I thank you. The DOA is the one running the secretariat now. The DG is on holiday, but it's here. You've done a lot of work. I want to thank you more sincerely for what you have done, but also to say there's a lot of work to be done in this field. So, ladies and gentlemen, with these few words, which are not really part of my speech, I have the honor and privilege to now launch this scheme. It's hereby launched. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for our president. Thank you so very much, sir. Really appreciate your frank comments and advice. And we are all encouraged. Thank you. We would like to tell the mentors and the mentees that we're going to send the soft copy of this affirmation to you and a couple of other documents, resources that will be useful, starting with the alignment form. That alignment form will come up after we're going to let you know your mentees, okay? We're going to let you know your mentors, and you can connect either virtually. There are some mentors that are in Abuja as we speak. So some are outside the country, but of course, it's a seamless world now. You can connect and have the first meeting that will be an alignment meeting. That's where we can discuss values, profile, areas, of interest and stuff like that. Then we can now determine whether we can even proceed further or not. Okay, so you will sign the alignment form. If there are reasons why you cannot, maybe your own interest area is finance, and the mentor is not in the finance line, might tell you, oh, you understand, so you can return the form to us. We'll do what we call reallocation and all that. Okay, so we'll send the documents to you after today. Thank you so very much. At this juncture, I want to invite our second vice president in the person of Mrs. Amina Oyagbola, FCIoD, to give us the closing remark. You're welcome, ma.
Thank you very much. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My president and chairman of council, the distinguished chairman of this occasion, Mr. Oshunkeye, who is also my mentor, indirect mentor, the distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Okonkwo. What an inspiring morning it has been. Hasn't it been just fantastic? My IPP in absentia, who has, helped to birth this fantastic project, and all those who have been involved in it. I'm so excited at the fact that this project has been birthed, and I thank you, for Mr. President, for giving me the opportunity to just make a few closing remarks. I've taken a lot of wisdom from the room this morning, and I've put them in my back pocket. As you know, I also have been mentoring for many years under a different platform. So I'm really, really excited because the highest organ at the top of organizations has also now set up and launched this scheme. And I just want to charge and make a call out to everyone to seize this very unique opportunity, you know, to get mentored. I have several mentors, I still have, and I'm also a mentee. I have several mentors, and I serve as a mentee, and I serve also as a mentor. And it's very important that we all do that, because as has been said by Chief Okunfunke this morning, we have to keep learning. But the stories that were shared both by him and by Mr. Okonkwo have been really, really inspiring, and they really go to the heart of what this is about. What I will just add, and I think it was touched on by Abimbola Wright, you know, for the mentor-mentee relationship to be smooth and seamless, is the importance of boundaries, understanding the boundaries. Don't abuse the relationship. You are really being given access to people you would not ordinarily have access to. And those in particular, the mentors who have decided to sign up to this program, are giving of themselves and their time. There's nothing they really need from you, if you think about it in reality. But the truth is that when you give of yourself anyway, even as a mentor, you will receive. You also benefit, you also refresh, you also grow in terms of your own leadership, because you will come across things in the course of the mentorship conversations that you will have that will open other vistas for you, and you never know where those relationships will take you. So just to quickly summarize, and you know, in a few minutes, I'd like to seize I'm not making the vote of thanks, which will be done by members of the Secretariat, but I really think I need to just say a big thank you to all the organizers, you know, who have participated in this program. This is really a historic, I think Mr. President said it's a historic event, and it's hugely significant, more significant. Sometimes when you're in the middle of a revolution, you don't realize how the full import of what is going on. But the launch of this mentoring scheme by the Chartered Institute of Directors is truly innovative, and it's very, very significant, and the impact, the ripple effect of it, you know, is going to be amazing. I have no doubt about that. I want to thank the mentors again, because without them we really don't have a scheme. And I want to thank the mentees, because you know, the first thing about leadership and development is self-governance, and self-governance always starts with your own awareness that you actually need something, and you actually actively go out there and seek to do it in spite of, you know, everyday life and all the things that stand in our way. So no doubt about it, mentorship drives personal and professional development. It can catapult your career. We had fantastic examples today, both when you're in the high points of your career, which will be numerous, and at the very low points of your career when you cannot see the fog, you can't see through the fog, and you're totally confused. We've all been there, and mentorship, a good mentor at that time, can help you navigate your path and your way forward. I hope you have all been inspired by this, both those in the room and those online, and those who will hear about this event, you know, post this event today. So on that note, I want to say thank you, and I pray and I hope that as we refine this process, as the IPP said, the immediate past president, Dr. Ije Jidima said, you know, we've kicked off, we've started, and we can only get better from now. I thank you all very much for listening. I'll just end with a quote, and to say that mentoring is not about creating followers. It's about creating leaders who can stand on their own and inspire others. And that's what people like Chief Osunke have done, people like, you know, Akintola Williams of blessed memory, and, you know, people like our president, you know, and chairman of council is doing, and all the other people in the leadership of the Institute. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma. At this juncture, I'd like to invite the President to come forward for the presentation that we want to make to the chairman of this occasion and our very vibrant keynote speaker. Sir, you're welcome, sir. And as he steps forward, I'd like to invite the first Vice President, Mr. Uyebanji, FCIOD, and the second Vice President, Ms. Oyagbola, to join him. Thank you.
Sir, may I ask my mentor for decades, Chief Ikoyi, to come up, please, sir. On behalf of the Chartered Institute of Directors and all of us here, sir, this is a plug just to say we thank you for your chairmanship of this occasion, for also to say thank you for offering to be a mentor under this program and also a mentee, and for sharing your experiences, which has been very inspirational to all of us. So as always, we're happy to have you with us. I will look forward to many more occasions when you'll honor us with your presence, sir. Thank you very much. May I call on my brother Namdi as a guest speaker to come up here with us. And for this Namdi, I will ask the second vice president to do a presentation on behalf of the Chartered Institute of Directors, SVP.
Thank you very much for the privilege, Mr. President. It really is an honor and a privilege. We used to hear about, your transformation in your banking years. So it delights me on behalf of the Chartered Institute of Directors to present this small plaque to you in recognition of your contribution this morning. Thank you so much for your inspiring talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So on that note, I want to thank you most sincerely for accepting this token in the Nigerian language. We look forward to having more of your time. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for this, sir.
One more.
Today is a very historic day, and it's another manifestation of the progress that the CIoD Nigeria has made over the years. It is not just enough to identify a project to decide you want to host a project, but the actual manifestation comes in when you have events like this at the end of the day. I mean, we've had this coming in the last 2-3 years when various committees in the institute were coming up with a mentoring program, coaching program, and there was a feeling that, look, let's have a program that is quite holistic, that will put everything right. And that decision then, it ruffled some feathers when it was taken. But today, I'm glad that everybody is happy at what we have done. Now we can see that we have a better program, a bigger program that we all do. So I want to thank the initiators first of this project. And I'll talk to the Presidential Consultative and Strategic Committee of the last 2-3 years, because it was just not the president. The idea was brought forward, and everybody in that group supported it. And it's also a manifestation of the continuity that we've had in the institute that has continued to help help us. I thank the immediate past president who brought that idea to the PCSC and it was approved then. And of course, I also thank the current president who ensured that, yes, it came to fruition. I'm sure Dr. Akata, who is here now, will agree with me that it was under quite a lot of pressure from Mr. President to ensure that we made this happen, and I'm glad that it happened. So I want to say thank you, Mr. President. I want to say thank you, Dr. Grant Akata, for leading this and making sure it happens. Thank you very much. And of course, I want to thank the current leadership of the Institute, and because the support was crucial, the support was important, and they gave it. And of course, the presence of the first vice president and the second vice president here this morning also goes to show that this program is going to even get better. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Let me now go to Chief Oshunkaye. For some of you, well, let me just say this is not the first time Chief is manifesting himself in who he really is. I recall that sometimes 4 years ago, we went for a program in UK, and incidentally, Chief Oshunkaye was a student at that program. I was shocked when I saw him in the room. I said, DG, I continue to learn. Wonderful program. And he came to me and said, this facilitator, can you bring him to Lagos? Let him come and speak to some people. And I was glad that through his support and his help, in 2018, we were able to bring Dr. Chris Pierce to Nigeria to speak when the NGG 2018 was launched. So he has been supporting us for quite a while. He has been giving us very bright and wonderful ideas. And let me tell you, yes, today is chairman of this program, but he was one of the first people to decide to be a mentor on this program. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. God continue to bless you and give you robust health in Jesus' name. I also want to thank our guest speaker. I have not seen him for quite a while, and no thanks to the fact that he wants to play under the radar after he left First Bank, but the golden fish has no hiding place. We always fish you out, and I really look forward to you being more active in the Institute. Now that you are a little freer, quote and unquote, I look forward to see you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nnamdi Okonkwo, for giving us your time today and for the wonderful and inspiring speech you gave to everybody. Thank you very much. I will not end this without thanking the members. Yes, I've thanked the chairman, the members of the Director, the Development and Certification Committee. Unfortunately, I cannot mention everybody's name one after the other now, but we really appreciate the good work that has gone into this, and we look forward, like I always say, the reward of hard work is more work. There's still so much to do. The president has given us what I would call a marching order this morning. We need to make this even bigger than it is, and I'm sure it's something that can be achieved. So I thank very much members of the DDCC, a very important committee of the Institute. I also want to thank, of course, my colleagues in the CIoD Academy. They've done very, very wonderfully well, even if I say so myself, starting with the Director of Academy, Mr. Adeni Bekun, and of course the lady in charge of this program directly, Matilda Udo, and all the other staff. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much for making this happen. I want to thank the mentees for you to appreciate the fact that you need help, come forward and try to do something for yourself. It's something that is, it may be taken for granted, but it's rare. Some people think they have it all, especially at your level. So I want to thank you for coming forward to seek this support and taking advantage of the Institute's program. And of course, the mentors. Yes, we believe there's so much to give, and we are ready to give. And it's not an easy task, because what you are going to be doing going forward is sharing your time, sharing your talent, and of course sharing your treasure at some times. So I want to thank you in advance on behalf of the Institute for this wonderful time we are going to give to the mentees. And we look forward to telling very good and successful stories from this program. I thank you very much, the mentors. I thank you everyone that are here today for attending this program. This is an epoch-making program for the Institute. For me, it's just like the day we launched the Young Directors Forum, and I think it's the way to go. The sustainability and the continuity of the Institute depends on programs like this, and I look forward to that. So I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank members of the press, and we look forward to the publicity that this program deserves. Thank you, everybody. I wish you a very Merry Christmas in advance, and also a very happy 2025 in advance. Thank you.